I hope, if mine don't go.
Oh, wow.
Saw it twice, so I was like, oh my god.
That was just weird.
I always used to see a light coming up, like a headlight, but there was nobody there.
Oh, it's just disappeared.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sunday night's Truth Proof, and hope you've all had a great weekend as usual. I've been busy, but I've enjoyed it, so all good there. Just ready for next Friday, really. That's all I look forward to, my Fridays. I used to do that all the time when I were at work, but I don't know about you guys. Let's have a look. Wow. Thanks for the support, guys. Well over 100 in chat already. I see, before we jump to who's in chat, got an incredible UFO story from 1980s that's going to be told if we don't have any technical difficulties by the witness. And I don't think she's ever spoke about this before, apart from to close friends. So I think that, we're fortunate tonight that this lady's decided she'll share it. And it's a really interesting story. So we're going to get to that shortly. Before we do, just a few minutes or a minute, Davos Mac Pork Pie. There's a new name for us. I don't think I could have made with that one up. Mike Canetti, Susan Wiseman, Alienate UK, Matt Studds is in, Mark Sturdy. Good to see you, mate. Andy Hate, Shadows and Sightings. Don't forget, I say it every week. Get over to Andy's YouTube channel. It's brilliant. Onalucci, Rick Bennett, Susan Wiseman, Zeno, Alison moderating for us. Thanks, Alison. Appreciated. I think our Gemma's doing it as well, and Lee. So, great stuff. Thank you very much. F&D, Patrick Daniel. Good to see you, Patrick. Did I see that you damaged your wrist? I'm not certain. I think I did. Pete's in. So if Pete's in, Linny will be in. Elaine, Lisa, Mia Girl. And we're going to stop in a minute. Lee Hopkins, because we don't run as long tonight, do we? It's Sunday. There's been some weird stuff happened at Dane's Diet last night. And I'm not going to get a chance to tell you, I don't think, unless our guest's connection fails, which we don't want it to do. So I'm going to bring Deborah in, and we'll get to this UFO sighting that she had in 1980s. Hi, Deborah. How are you doing?
Hello, Paul. I'm all right, thank you.
Yeah, really good. And I'll just give people an outline. I mean, you contacted me probably going on 10 years ago. I don't know. And it was an incredible sighting then, and something that went over days and days. And, Deborah, I talk about Wilsthorpe incident and Ummanby incident.
Yeah.
And this what we know it's 1980s, but Wilsthorpe Ummanby 1998. This what you experienced. I think probably even more so than UFO or what happened afterwards. But Let's get to it. Walk us back to early 1980s, and I say your exact age, but what happened? How did it begin?
Yes. Well, it was.
Well, one second. Let us know, guys, if you need Deborah to speak up a bit. Just let us know. Go on, Deborah.
Yeah. So this was when I was early teenager, and it was in a village outside Sheffield. It's well known for various strange incidents, but at the time I hadn't got a clue about any of the incidents going off. It's subsequently that I've found out there's other things gone off in the area. But yes, it was basically pretty much going dusk. There was a derelict brick factory very near where we lived. I was on an incline living up a hill. This was in the bottom of the valley.
Is this the Jennifax brick factory?
That's right, yes. I think that's the local name for it. It may have another name, but that's what I've been told, yes. I just returned from being out to my home where I live with my mum and dad. And I saw, as I was going up the hill, to get to home. Some sort of craft. It was hovering fairly low over this Jenny Fax factory, it didn't make a lot of noise. It was more like a low-grade humming sound. I'd never seen anything like it and couldn't understand what it was, but I knew enough that wasn't anything that I'd seen before. Yeah. So proceeded to go into the house, obviously, frightened. This was all in...
Did you feel, when you're looking at it outside then, Deborah, did you feel frightened instantly, or did it just creep on you?
Yeah, it crept on me, because you have to adjust to what you are actually seeing, even though you're a youngster, as I said, teenager. You have to put it in perspective and think, what on earth is that? What am I looking at? Because it wasn't anything like that I'd seen before, and it was fairly low down. And doing, like, I'll call it a search. Like when a helicopter hovers. Yeah, it was doing similar to that, but it wasn't a helicopter. So you sort of double take, don't you? Yeah. I proceeded to be, obviously, that what's that? That's not normal. Returned home, and then the fear when I looked out of the window and it was still doing it over the derelict factory, I'll call it, was what's going on? Are we being invaded? I know that sounds ridiculous, by aliens.
Well, yeah. you did say, didn't you? You said to me, well, when we spoke a few times on phone, and your initial email, you said it were like close encounters.
Yes, it's only subsequently, because with it being 40 odd years ago, it had really gone kind of out of my mind. And it was when I was watching the film again that I had that sort of feeling of, oh my goodness me, if obviously it was a far bigger craft on there, if I could relate to a craft and the visuals with the big one at the end with the lights, obviously nowhere as big as that, it threw me back into the thought pattern of it.
Yep. 1 second, because I know you can jump into this at any time, and I want to grab any questions that come up related to it straight away. So Carol Pointer says, is this Wharncliffe side?
Correct, it is. Yes, that's right.
And I've met Carol, lovely lady, and she might have some information about this. You never know.
Yes, it's very welcome, because you think you might have, on this particular section of the story, I was like thinking that I'd only seen it on my own. So yes, it definitely is Wharncliffe side and Wharncliffe Crags area. Yeah. So shall I carry on with the story?
Carry on, please. Yeah.
So I returned in and obviously felt fear and what on earth's going on, and we obviously had, then it was the BT landlines. So I rang my grandma, and just told her what I could see, and she gave me some, old school advice of lock your door, don't go out, close your curtains and get under the table. Well, I subsequently did that, but I was thinking in my mind, obviously if you're going to get some sort of aliens there, that wouldn't really be helpful. But you just do things, don't you? So I did do that. I was under a fair while because I was frightened, and she told me to wait till my mum and dad had come back from work. They worked in Sheffield. I relayed it to them.
So what time was it roughly then, Deborah?
I'll call it about 7 to 7:30.
Right.
And it was a wintry, so we'd gone dark. That's why it was more visual with it, with the lights and such like. Can I show you a picture, Paul?
You can, but first of all, and we want to see. I know you've just done some like scribbly drawings. You were a bit embarrassed about them, but I still think it's great that you've retained these drawings. You described its size by, you lived in a council house at the time, and I did. I can picture a size of a a semi-detached one. So you said about as big as 3 council houses. Would that be right?
Yeah, that's correct. Yes, it was fairly decent size. I'm not talking these little orbs or anything like that. It was a good size. Yeah. So that's how I calculated it at the time. With being a younger person, you kind of think of something that you can relate to, you know, and that was
absolutely.
what I related to, because where it particularly was, I think my mum and dad had bought our council house, but it was on the council-y bit, so they were the gauge. As I said, because I was looking down on it from a slope, I had to sort of gauge it with my eyesight, you know, mind's eye of thinking, how big is that? Yeah, so that's about right. Yeah.
And you got to look at the underside more than above it, didn't you?
That's right, because as I said again, it was hovering, and I got the visual angle to it. I mean, I wasn't directly underneath it, but obviously, you know, if you're looking at something on a flat plane, you can't see really the underside. But I've got the advantage within the valley, so you've got that perspective, So
you've done these little like scribbles of what the shape and everything. If you don't mind, show us them, please.
It's very, very basic. It gives you a perspective. Can you see that, Paul?
I can, yeah. You've got 3 yellow lights underneath it then, yeah?
Yeah, yellowy orange. Now, if you can see, there was beams shooting down, and it was scanning. It was looking for something with these beams going toward the ground.
Yeah.
Because I'd got a good angle of the, you know, location I was looking from. I could see that it was going very slowly, and it was scanning, looking.
And there's no mistaking that shape. That was the shape. Just hold it up again for us, Deborah, please. And you could see that clearly in the night sky or evening sky.
Like a dome shape. That's correct. Yeah.
That's brilliant. Thank you.
Yeah. That's that section with my little drawing there. But it gives people a perspective. Obviously, I know it's a classic shape that people see, but as I said, when all this occurred, I'd not really been into anything like that at all, because I was, you know, a younger person. I'd not really probably seen Star Wars, that was it. So it wasn't that I was into any, like we know now about all these different shapes. That's what I can remember it looked like, yeah.
Do you remember telling your parents about it then? Obviously, because your gran will have told them as well.
That's right. Yes, I told them about it. My dad used to make sort of jokey comments, bit of a joker, and, you know, brushed it off and laughed it off a little bit. My mum said, well, you've done right not to go out because you don't know what it might have been. And my nan certainly was, you know, concerned. I think she could tell with the tone of my voice that I was worried and nervous, because I used to be very close to my gran. And, you know, I think she knew I wasn't making something up, because I'd obviously picked the phone up and seemed frightened with it. And I think that's the best she could give me the advice at the time, with not being there. She didn't drive.
Over years then, you know, obviously, because there's quite a bit more to this story that hopefully we'll get through. This connection's holding at the moment, isn't it? Over years, how many times has it come into your mind? Did you kind of just forget about it for a long time, and was it the Close Encounters film that just brought it back?
Yeah, and that was probably around 10 years ago. I watched it again. I have seen it before, the Close Encounters, but I was sat with my partner, who I've been with 24 years, and I had to say, do you know, honestly, you know, like people get these time lapses or forget things when they said they've been abducted or whatever. That actually drew it back, and actually commented while we were watching it. And I said, I feel quite strange watching it. That has just brought everything back. The lights, that low grade humming, and I've not thought about it for years and years and years, you know.
So there's essentially there's at least a 20-year gap, isn't there?
Gosh, yes.
Over 20. What? Any thought? Obviously, you've never even said you thought there were any kind of abduction scenario, and I don't think that. I'm not trying to lean it in that direction, because I think you'd know. But any thoughts on why you'd forgot, or do you think it was the fear of looking at it, or?
I just think you get on with your life, and you need these sort of little mental triggers to jog you with it. I think I'd mentioned just jumping forward, the people in Victorian outfits.
You did, because we're going to get to that, aren't we?
That had come to mind, and I broached it with one or two family members and my partner. But the UFO initial sighting, which was again very closely related to the other sighting we'll talk about, that seems to be, until I had the trigger of seeing something visual. It's not that I didn't think about it, but it took me to think about the shape and the lights. It was that like...
Absolutely. And
yeah.
so just before then we move away from the UFO, that part of it.
Yes.
What do you recall then, any part of looking at that object as this young teenager and thinking it's looking at me, or was it just the fear?
It wasn't looking at me, because I say it was looking for something. It was scanning, deliberately doing something where it needed to be. I don't think I was relevant to it.
Good.
Obviously it would have probably come in near the house, but it just stayed in its location, and it was the beams kept going on and off as it was moving about.
Right.
They weren't constantly on. It was like off, shoot a light down, look, off, shoot a light down, look, over this factory.
But did you get the feeling though, Deborah, that they were separate lights, or did you think it was one light and object were moving?
It was separate.
Right.
Like on the picture, as one was down, that would retract, go off, and on the craft itself, another would come down, scan that particular section off, and as it was hovering slowly, it was doing. They weren't constantly down.
And I'm sorry for playing on this one, because it probably sounds a bit trivial. Was it a straight beam of light, or did it fan out?
Fanned out.
Fanned out. Okay. And what? And I know it's difficult. We're going back over 40 years. What width would you, if you had to guess at a width of where that light would have hit the deck, the floor, what width do you think it would have been?
Right, let's just think. 5 or 6 foot in diameter as it spanned down, narrow, and then spanning out to 5 or 6 foot, like a...
Brilliant. Thank you.
Yeah.
Right, before we get to next part then, and some of these questions you might have already answered, but I know this one you will have, but we'll just do it. So Rod says, Deborah, did anyone else witness the same thing to your knowledge?
To my knowledge, and I'll have to double check on this, the friend I've got that saw the second incident, her mum was approximately 78, 80 now. I believe she did or heard about it or did witness it. I can go and check with her. Whether she's remembered, I've no idea. I think it's her who told me, oh, you mean the Jenny Fax factory?
Yeah.
So I think somebody else did, but whether she remembers now, getting even older than I am, but I'm in contact with her. As I said, it's my very best friend's mum. So
well,
I will
go that earlier, didn't you? You said you would ask, so that'd be brilliant.
I will ask. And
do you know, it'd be interesting because I know Carol's really interested in subjects of unexplained phenomena, and she's sent to know whereabouts, or roughly whereabouts this could have been. It'd be interesting if Carol's got some information on this. Yes. So Lisa says, was it lit and what shape was it? Well, we've done that, Lisa, but you let me put the picture up one more time for anybody that's just come in, that Deborah saw something this shape in the early 1980s, hovering very low, and she saw it she saw it outside at first and then from the windows of her home. And okay, thank you.
Is that all right? Is that there, Paul? Yes.
That's perfect. Yeah, that's great. Thank you very much.
I've only done it in grandchildren's Crayola crayons. It's not professional.
Well, if there's any questions that aren't in capitals, guys, I'm sorry, because I will be missing them. I'm going down because... Right, let's have a look. Here we go. Paul Barrett. Hi, Paul and Deborah. Was you overcome with the unnerving sense of fear which usually accompanies the sightings that are reported to Paul or have been reported to Paul in the past?
I can't say absolutely petrified. Frightened, yes. Not initially when I first saw it, as I said, because I couldn't fathom out what on earth I was looking at. It was when I got in, looked through the window, and then just thought, if anything gets out of that or lands, you know, as you might do, and some sort of creature comes out of it, what the heck do you do? Because it was fairly near, you know, not far away, and then you I'll call it, you build yourself up, don't you? You get
Yeah,
yourself
absolutely.
up with it. So initially, mesmerised and trying to fathom out what it was, obviously nervous, and then as I got in, it was still there doing its routine,
Scanning.
and then you self-talk of like, what if, and then I did become frightened. Yes.
Okay, Steve Collin, we're just leaving that on. Thanks, Steve. That's a good drawing, Deborah. Well, regardless of what you think of your artwork, Deborah, you've given us the shape, you've given us the position of the light.
Right, yes.
Well, just keep going down, because I always get accused of not doing questions. So Zeno says, Deborah, when you saw the beams coming from it, did you ever manage to go to the location? Yeah, we might get to some of this, or not quite to location. It was scanning. Did you feel you had any missing time?
No, I didn't feel I've had missing time, other than, as I say, thinking back on it, I couldn't remember it until I was jogged, so I've no idea if that could be any relevance to it. But at the particular time, no, I wasn't wearing a watch. As I say, I'd not really been involved with anything like that, so you don't think to look at a clock and think about that. So no, that wasn't in the equation at all. No.
I'm going to put this question up, but we know YouTube doesn't like the word. So has there been any animal fatalities in the area?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Okay, right. We've got another one here. Let's have a look. Tim, 1937, and Rachel asked that one, actually. So thanks, Rachel. Hi, Deborah. Would you consider hypnosis for potential missing time?
No.
No, I think I'd have said the same. Let's have a look at this one. This is Carol. Wharncliffe and Stocksbridge, bloody hell, Stocksbridge are less than a mile from each other. Yeah, because we know we've got the Stocksbridge bypass and the strange anomalies there. Thanks, Carol. If you can do a bit of digging, Carol, and find anything out potentially that could connect to Deborah's sighting, that would be brilliant.
Yeah. And where I used to live, Paul, I'm at the other end of Stocksbridge now, but I was at the furthest end before they built a new estate, which that lady will probably know about. Our houses were pretty much the end of Deep Car. That was the end of the actual...
would you rather me not say name at road?
No, you can do.
Yeah, well, Wilson Road, weren't it?
That's it. And at that particular time, they've subsequently built a new estate, and it goes a little bit further on now. You've got an absolutely brilliant view of the crags and this factory from where I was. Yeah.
So we've got another question. Are you okay with these questions, Deborah?
Fine, thank you. Yes.
Any following dreams or effects in the following years after the event?
Well, obviously, as we know, Paul, there's a whole catalogue of events go on, but we won't be covering that in this programme, will we? But yes, subsequently, yes, there's been very strange incidents going off, but
And just one from me then. So when you'd initially spoke about it to your parents, your gran, and maybe, and I know you're close friends at school. Yeah. Then there's a big gap, at least 20 years, where you let it just slip away because you get on with life, like we all do.
Yeah.
When it came back after you'd watched Close Encounters and this memory came flooding back, did you feel disturbed then?
Disturbed, correct. I did. That's the feeling I got. Quite disturbed, and it was like almost goosebumpy. You know, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We've done that. Apologies, I've just put the same question up, being a fool. So let's have a look. Ilan, was there any sound at the time? You've covered a little bit of it, but go on.
Yeah. While I was actually outside, I couldn't hear it when I got in the house, obviously. I'll call it a low-grade humming, and it felt very internal as well, you know. I know that sounds silly when you're hearing it, but like in a vibrating in your chest area.
I think you've made an important point there. That we'd missed that. I'd never picked up on that. So you felt it in the vibration. It were internal.
Yeah, it was internal. I could, hear it with my ears as well, but it made you vibrate inside. It was a low, very low sort of sound. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Now Andy, Studio 211 Productions. We've got first part of the question, but second part, I don't think we covered. How big was the object, Deborah, and how high was it, or how far from the ground was it hovering? That's the bit that I don't think we got before.
Yeah.
I know it's a guess.
Yeah. Well, we've covered it was about 3 council houses wide. Yes. On the height situation, let me just get my bearings with looking down on it. As I said, because I was at an angle, it had come down to around 100-ish feet. It was low. It was low. Yeah,
that's brilliant. Do you know something? We're going to do questions until past, and then we're going to go to the next section, else we'll not get this,
Okay, yes.
There's no urgency, Deborah, but I'm mindful of your time as well.
That's fine,
Was there anything special going on at the factory, production-wise, at the time, or anything significant?
No, it was actually, to my knowledge, the factory had been knocked down. It was apparently a brick factory, and it was our local dump. I think there was like tyres on it and waste, and it used to be always on fire. When I say on fire, deep fire, there was glow. You could see it in winter, glow.
Yeah, I see. Maybe gases that are building up underground with waste. Yeah.
I don't know exactly what they dumped on it, but I know at one bit they had to put it out. There was a huge fire, tyres and such like, and it was burning deep in the ground. Subsequently, now they built a new housing estate on, but it's taken them years to get rid of all the toxic waste there. But no, it was derelict. The factory had gone years ago, to my knowledge, and it was, again, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe it was some sort of dump.
Yeah, that's interesting, that, because we're going back not 1980s, but 1977, and in Bridlington at Bessingby, there were a sighting there next to what Britex PLG, I think they were calling it, the factory, and 3 cleaners saw an object. And this object was oval shaped, very low over some allotments, and that dropped a beam of green light down. But Leslie, who I spoke to, I see quite often around Bridlington, she says that this beam of light was sucking all objects up from the allotments, even carrier bags, like it would, it's crazy.
Yeah, unbelievable. Yes, but to my knowledge, because I don't think we'd been living here that long, or we'd lived further up deep, Car. I say when you're younger, it all goes into a blur, and we'd not lived down that particular section for long. We'd lived at a new estate, and we'd had to move down there through job circumstances with my mum and dad. But I believe it was a derelict old factory with all this toxic nastiness going on.
Yeah, you wonder if that's why it was there. We're going to do 2 questions which are similar here, and then we're going to go to the next part of this. Did you feel any energy go through your body at the time? Well, I think you said the sound.
Yeah, it was more of a vibration than anything, this internal vibration. That's
okay. Thank you. And Martin says, did the craft affect any electrical systems near it, or any lights in your home, I suppose, or street lights?
No, everything seemed to be working normally. Obviously I use the landline, and I did switch the lights off as well, because you think you don't want it to see you, but no, they were all working. Yeah.
One question leads to another. You've just said you switch lights off, you're under the table. Could you still feel the sensation of the object outside while you were under the table?
No, I braved myself to peep out of the edge of the curtain, and it had gone by then. I was under a fair bit. I'll call it 20 to 30 minutes because I was frightened, but it had gone by then. Yes.
Right. So we're not going to do any more questions. Sorry, guys, just for now, because it is fairly detailed, this story. It's interesting. I found it fascinating when I first heard it. So night comes and goes, new day, told mum and dad. What did you do then?
Well, then I was like on a bit of a high alert with it all and trying to process what I'd seen. And that's when I started looking to see if I could see anything else, which leads on to the other bit. And subsequently, I did see lots of other things. So I became family members just took it with a pinch of salt. I thought that there's something going on here. I told my friend obviously as well, and we were a bit like adventurers in those days, and I was keeping a good look at these crags to see.
So you're looking at. So describe Wharncliffe Crags to people, because a lot of people won't know. I know Carol Pointer will, but
yeah,
you're looking onto Crags.
That's it. From this particular house where I lived, we've got an absolutely brilliant view of the crags. They have now grown with trees because obviously it's 40 years on, but you could actually see the exposed crags now. I'll call them, they might be 30, 40 foot high. They're an exposed, yes, rock face. They were exposed more than they are now with trees. I've had another look and the trees have grown huge, but they were quite exposed, rugged, rock climby type set of cliffs that I was looking at, crags cliffs, but not huge, but as I say, they're good height.
And it'll tie in this. We aren't going into detail at next bit. You could observe people climbing them, couldn't you? Actually, professional climbers going up them.
Professional climbers, yes. And as I said to you, Paul, back in the day, well, I say the professional, there must have been, people that like doing it weekends and stuff. They were wearing your traditional red or blue Pacamac cagoule, and it was a standard sort of thing that they wore, not what they wear now. No. So I'd seen them going up and down from the window, and as I said to you, I gauged them with my fingers like that, and they were about that big from the distance from me
And anybody listening to that and thinking, why is Deborah saying that? It might make sense if we manage to get to that part of the story. So you think you saw this object a second time. Am I right?
Yes. Well, yes, it's a similar object or the same one. I'm not sure, because this one didn't present itself as a craft. This was a glow.
Yeah. About what, 4 or 5 days later, weren't it?
Yes, it was. Yeah.
Walk up into it.
I kept being observant, checking the surroundings, thinking, is that going to come back? And then again, of an evening, I looking again from the window towards these crags, saw this orange, I'll just put it up, Paul, then, like a dome glow.
Right.
The top of the crags are there, and then there was a glow in the sky, and I have put on there for people saying it was the sun.
Not the sun, I saw that, yeah.
It was night with the moon out. So, I was quite aware, even though I was younger at day and night, it was a glow, and I thought, oh, the crags are on fire, but it was a dome shape. So I thought, well, a fire wouldn't be a dome shape, it'd be, burning upwards. So that's why I've drawn that. Okay. And it was, as you got the horizon of the top of the crags, you'd got this big dome shape of glow. So I thought, what the heck is that? I've been a bit intrepid back in the day. The very next day, we got us rucksacks on, me, a younger friend and a younger friend, and had a go up to the crags.
Yeah.
Where we found the...
Yeah, tell us about it. So there's your friend who's a little bit younger and her younger sister.
Yeah.
You see, I remember this sighting really well because I just thought it's so interesting.
Yeah.
And you have an adventure. You decide you're going to go up onto the crags. You've explained to them that you've seen this glowing orange dome of light. So how long did it take you to get up there as kids, as teenagers?
Well, it's a good walk. It's. I think we must have been about an hour because we kept having to have a break. It's a good old walk from where we were. You have to go through some very nasty tunnels and such like. And we didn't really know where we were going, Paul, to be honest with you. We just followed.
Have you never been before? Never been onto Crags before?
Not as far as up as that, because we were younger and it's a bit, a bit too far. So it was me. I think they got into trouble for it, to be fair. Being a bit sort of like, we've got to go and find out what it is. We managed to find his way somehow to the crag base and get on top of the crags, where after another bit of a walk, there was heather in a complete circle, about the same size I've just said the first craft was.
Yeah.
We were analysing it, and I stated, well, if there was a fire, where's the source of it?
Yeah.
You know, where's the stones and the fire burnt? But it was scorched. And again, if you've got a fire, it doesn't burn in a circle unless you've got some barrier around it. And it was a scorched circle on this heather.
Right.
And I just relaying to these two younger friends of mine, a fire, which we were commenting on, would burn randomly. You need a source of ignition. There was no source of ignition fire-wise, and it was scorched. And the heather, because I'm a gardener professional, it wasn't squashed. It was still intact, but scorched. If you understand what I'm meaning. It wasn't, something hadn't squashed it. It was still in its state, but scorched in a perfect circle.
And was, you know, around the circumference of this, was it a clean? Was the heather rich and clean around it? You know, fresh.
Yeah, just normal around it. And even at that age, I thought that's not right. A fire wouldn't do that unless you'd had sort of built a stone or, you know, some guard round it. It wouldn't burn like that, would it? A fire's random, and there was no source of ignition, whether it be central or off centre. There was no source of where this would have singed or burnt from. So we were just in the process of me being Inspector Clouseau with it.
And you stood in it as well, didn't you? Because I remember you stood in the circle, and I remember saying to you, and just think about it, guys, when you're listening to this, because that's how I felt. I thought potentially, you know, days before, you could have been stood in an area where, well, let's say that it's come from outer space, something from another world potentially could have landed. Yeah. You know, it might not be too far-fetched to say that. And
no.
Did it feel different studying it? Did you get that? Did you get a little shiver, a little, or nothing?
I didn't get any sort of, like people said they get magnetic pulses and things like that. No, it just suddenly clicked to me. This is very odd. Why would it be this? And you know, when you're just going through the process of that, so it was more that way inclined of being thoughtful and trying to analyse how it could have done it. And then I started to get a sense of something not right. And this is when it brings these characters in.
So I was going to say, where do we go from here? And before you do bring the characters in, I'm mindful that there's quite a few questions, and I'm gonna leave them because we were supposed to be going for an hour. If the questions just go over a little bit, would that be okay?
Yes.
Okay. You know, I mean, we might not, guys, but you know, I want Deborah to, I don't want to keep breaking a story. So where did we go from this circle of scorched earth?
Yes. So I was like, obviously getting quite involved doing my investigation bit, but I then sort of sensed a sense of uneasy because there was absolutely nobody up there. It's quite remote. And talking to these two younger friends about it, I looked on the top of the crags. I'll call it, I was facing this way, so it'll be to my right, because it was in the heather this way. And quite in the distance, I noticed a group of about 11 or 12 people, which was quite, you know, strange in its own regard, coming at a fair pace towards. Took not much notice, but when I did glance up again, the yardage or meterage that they'd covered was a good. And I thought, this is not right. So I mentioned it to my two friends about it, which they looked, and I said, are they wearing fancy dress costumes or Victorian? And as I said, even though we were young, we weren't silly. And they went, yeah, they are. And I said, what would you be doing up here in that? You know, and we thought, is it a sponsored walk or charity thing? So we did query it, but we were, going on about this circle. Again, when I looked round, they were even closer. So I thought that this doesn't feel right. This is strange. They had a very blank look. They had top hats on, morning suits in black. I can only describe if anybody's seen Handmaid's Tale, the hooded hat. Some had white lacy trim round it, the younger ones. There wasn't any children in this. It was adult and teenager. The younger teenagers had and they were coming quite at a pace.
Do you think, Deborah, that they closed the distance too quickly to be normal?
To be normal, yes. The distance covered was ridiculous. I'm talking as you're looking down, making a couple of comments. The distance covered was, yards, which somebody normal.
Were they in a line or were they behind each other?
Well, the path's narrow because you can fall off one side down the cliffs and then you've got like overgrown. So the path's only, it's not a wide path. I think
right, I see.
Yeah, but they were coming. It was like a bit of a group. That was the weird thing as well, because it was like almost two people might fit on the path, one per dog walker, but they were coming almost not on the path, not walking.
No.
Yeah. Very difficult to describe. I then got, this fear of there's something not right here. I don't like it. So I broached my friends and I just said, I think we ought to go. I don't like the look of those, because they had no expression on the face. They were just heading towards us. Not a hello or anything. And they were getting quite near, from quite a way off, quite near.
Were they all white faces or?
Not white. No, they were skin color.
So natural skin color, yeah.
But not showing any and
no expressions, nothing you could identify. No, I get it.
And no chatter. So this is what unnerved me a little bit. And I thought, what would they be doing up here? So I said, let's go. And we started off, again, people might not know this. It's called Star Walk. You do a bit of a quick walk and it starts to get quicker. So I looked round and they were like gaining, like in the cartoon things when they're gaining on you. So the quick walk started to be like faster and running. Yeah. And we ended up running to the point, old school, when you run, you can be tripping over which we were, hurting us ankles, getting knocked knees. But when you're frightened, you just go for it, don't you? That's what we ended up doing. I subsequently, some point later, turned back to see if they were anywhere near us, because I was frightened as well. I thought, are they ghosts or something, that they might pop up in front of us? That crossed my mind as I was running. Please don't pop up in front of me. I looked around, they'd gone, absolutely disappeared. I couldn't fathom out, because there's a sheer drop. Then you've got heather, and you can see so
you've a lot of moorland that's flat.
Yeah, on the top of the crags. We were sort of getting down the crags. I looked back to see where they'd gone. There were nowhere they could have ascended down the crags. There was nowhere they could have gone back where they came. You've got a visual, a very big visual. They'd just gone. So that's when I started being even more frightened. I hope these don't
appear in front of you.
You think, like in films that you subsequently have watched when you're older, they're not there, but I'm running and they're now there, but they weren't, thank goodness. But we ran a good long way till we couldn't breathe any. When you get your stitch in your side, and it was very unnerving. I can only say that.
And so you got home. Did you tell your parents about that one?
Yep, told them. They said, well, we got a bit of tolling off. The two younger ones were told they couldn't go up again. I've been silly taking them up. The usual, and don't go up there on your own. So we did we got to tell it.
Looking back now, I mean, we'll never know potentially you've seen this UFO and you've done a drawing of it that done early 1980s. It don't like anything that we know, and it's static, shining these lights down. 4 or 5 days later, you've seen this similar shape in an orange glow on the top of the crags. We don't know if it was the same thing, but it could have been. So let's assume that it is some kind of craft. Because I'm not saying it isn't, Deborah. Potentially that could have been to protect you, to get you away from that scorched circle, because you don't know if there were any traces of anything harmful there, do you?
No, that's correct. I mean, we just went up, not thinking we were finding anything, but we did. I mean, I didn't go looking in. I wish I had done now, if there was any like landing prods, because obviously something's not pressed the stuff down. But I didn't think about that at the time. But yeah, it could have been radioactive or anything, Paul. I have no idea.
It's fascinating, and I know you've said to me, will I drive through? And I'd love to, so I want to try and do that. And what would be interesting, but I mean, we're going back 40 years. There's not going to be any residue of anything, but do you think you would know where that was now, even, or has it changed that much with foliage and vegetation?
No, I have been up subsequently when we were locked down. The partner I've got now, when you were only allowed to go for a walk.
Yeah.
When you could only go for a walk, I just threw it out there and said, you know what? You've never been up there, have you? Do you want me to show you where I saw that circle? And he said, oh, good idea. We'll have a drive out there. We were over at his house, and it's a 20-minute drive. He said, yes, go try and show me. Obviously everything's altered, and I've not been up there for years and years. So we bumbled his way to where, and I've got a vague perspective feeling, because it was a clearing bit. I said, this to me feels where that I saw the scorch, and I showed him, this is where those people came on. Can you see what I meant about 11 or 12 people could not just disappear out of sight? And he got it. He got what I was saying. You have to be there to see it, because people might think, oh, they went behind a tree, they took another route. There's nowhere else to go, Paul. You're either off the cliff or you're into the bracken, which you can see quite a good, you could see somebody walking for a fair bit till disappeared off.
It's difficult, isn't it, Deborah? Because you've explained it and you've painted a clear picture for us all to see, but we still can't see up there. So you've just told us that little element, which is great in itself.
Yeah.
Jack filmed A Strange Light on cliff tops a few months ago, and I put it up onto YouTube Truth Proof channel yesterday, and somebody's going, oh, it's somebody with a big torch. It's somebody who's just sat behind his laptop or his keyboard, and he knows better than us. We were there. We went up straight away. Thermal cameras, psionics cameras. There's nobody there. But your story, where are we going to go with this? Because I know we'll have loads of questions, but I feel that we could probably fit the next element in if you wanted, and then just do a few questions. How do you feel about that?
Fine, yes, as I said, because it goes. The story doesn't stop there, does it, Paul? You see,
it doesn't. So we've done the UFO that we know with the early 80s. Over what was the Jennifax brick factory.
Yes.
4 or 5 days later, you've seen what you perceive to be the same object, even though it's not got the lights on it, but it's the same shape, and it's on top of Wharncliffe Crags.
Yes.
So there's a good chance it was. You've seen the scorched earth, and then there's a short time, maybe not long, that follows after that you see something, and people will realise now why we talked about the people who used to climb Wharncliffe Crags. Tell us about them, please.
Yes. So this again, timeline, we've jumped from what we've just seen and those Victorian people. Yes, when I did that with my fingers to the normal climbers, that was the perspective of the distance. This is the only way I could gauge it.
Yeah.
About this big for normal people. Gather how long.
You can see them in the orange and the red cagoules or the blue cagoules, so you know you got these climbers.
That's right. Watching them go up the cliffs and how long it would take them. Subsequently, not long after that, maybe a couple of days or a week, I call these bendy people. Obviously, bearing in mind I was a lot younger then. That's the only description I could get to it, because they were white I'll call it 5 or 6, and over a couple of days as well I saw them. They were much bigger from these people when I've gauged it from the distance, holding my fingers like that to the window. They were bigger, and they went up in a worm movement up the cliffs, and they went up in rapid speed, not a couple of movements, but far quicker than a climber would do.
Yeah.
And got to the top. They were always going up.
And were you observing then, Deborah? Were you actually observing the cliffs, or was it something you found yourself gazing out onto them all the time, or were you just on high alert after seeing the UFO and then seeing the?
Yes, high alert, Paul. As I said, I had a bit of an adventure streak when I was younger. It's not as much now I'm older. I think I'd be a bit frightened, but more a little bit daredevil-y. And so it was like a bit of a mission-y thing to spot things, Now people might think, oh, you were wanting to spot things. I wasn't. It was, deliberately making myself see things. I wasn't. This was, and I tried to do comparables at the time. This is the only way I could gauge it. As I said, I wasn't particularly going to go up and have a look again after all that. So I gauged it from my window with my fingers, to think, well, that's
gauging it, the size of a person. We do it. We see things and we go size of a 2 pence at arm's length, or so you've done that natural thing. So these are 3 or 4 times bigger than a human.
That's it. So that was odd in its own regard. And then when they started doing this sort of
like a caterpillar
movement up, I thought, what's going off there? That's not right. And then they got to the top. It's rocky up there, so obviously when they'd mounted the top, you saw them for a few seconds and then they sort of weren't there anymore. But this happened over a couple of days, and I thought, what is that? What are they doing? Could that be something to do with this craft? But I'm certainly not going to go up there on my own, because as I said, my 2 friends were told they couldn't go up again, so I wasn't going up on my own,
No.
Being a young lady on their own going up there.
Well, I bet you a lot of people in chat, I don't think we can fail to think that all of this was somehow connected. But like you said, you never saw these, what you've called bendy people, going down. You always saw them coming up. And it almost sounds like there was something below ground or something. How many did you see?
Each time there'd be about 3 or 4 at a time, not one, 3 or 4, and they went up, not all at the same time. They were in different, one might be there, one might be there, but they all got to the top in their own time, Yeah.
I find it hard to believe that you were the only person that saw this.
This is wanting to find out. Yeah.
It's incredible, isn't it? So we've gone from a UFO, which sounds close encounters, scorched area, potentially a landing, then the Victorian dressed people, which it don't fit that, does it? It don't fit. If I think you're perfectly on the level with what you're telling me, but if you were making this up, I think we'd find something better than somebody in Victorian clothing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then we've got the bendy people.
Yes. Now the Victorian people, if anybody wants to look at it, and I've not made this bit up, there's a police record. I don't know if you're aware of it. That some Victorian children were sighted by 2 police officers. It's a well-known.
Right.
I think Mike Laspel had it on this programme. 2 security guards had an incident and reported it to the police. And my partners just actually said, would that have been around the same time you saw all of this? At the time, I knew nothing about it. But I said, I'll have a look. Because they saw some children skipping around a pylon.
Some electricity pylons, weren't it?
Yeah, and that was Victorian children. And we've got, in this area, a monk appears. So what are we dealing with around here? Have we got some sort of time glitch, or?
It is strange, isn't it?
Yeah.
There are definitely something happening. I really hope after people listen to this, somebody's going to come to me and say, can you put me in contact with Deborah? Because I think I might have seen the same thing.
Yes, it'd be great.
Shall we take a few questions, Deborah?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Some of them will relate to earlier parts of the story. So Mark Sparks says, hi, Paul, Deborah. That drawing is the same as the aerial sightings in what the Zimbabwe kids drew. So there
Right.
was a group of school children, and I don't know, Sparks will know you or other people will, and they all drew
Yes.
this something
Yes.
very similar. And if Sparks is saying it's very similar, it will be because he's on the ball, this fella. So
And
yeah.
I've watched that documentary recently, Paul. That one found it
Oh.
very, very intriguing. Yeah.
Thanks, Alison. And let's have a look. Do you want to know what's underneath all that? Yeah, I want to know what Zeno's not put it in capitals, but he's saying I want to know what's underneath all that earth. I'm assuming is right. Right. Let's have a look. Lisa says, "What do you think they were looking for?"
Right. Well, it could either be looking back now. It could be that we're toxifying places. You never know with that because we do make a mess of humans. Do make a mess of areas, don't we?
Absolutely.
Or subsequently, I've done a bit of digging, and I've forgotten it now. I will look for it, Paul. There is a rare earth mineral that's up at the crags.
Right.
Used to be mining up there, prehistoric mining. Again, that's crossed my mind. It's you make they make chips with it now, computer chips.
I thought you were going to say chips. I think we're talking about cooking oil. I'm only joking.
No. Is it? Do they call them chips in?
Yeah.
There's a rare earth mineral up there.
Really?
And it's been mining, and it like prehistoric and various. I've done a bit of research, so that could be something they're looking for. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Beer Monster. Hi, Deborah. Did the event appear in the local newspapers from other witnesses?
No, I never saw a thing about it, and I've looked online. The only nearest thing that I could pinpoint was, and I don't know what timeline we're looking at, the Green Moor incident, where apparently something flew this direction and some sort of jet followed it. I've no idea what timeline that was.
Okay.
Yep.
So Martin Abbas, any ill effects physically as a result of potentially from the encounter? Did you suffer any illness?
No.
Not even at the time, and not realised? Yeah, I don't know that.
No. I mean, I did get glandular fever, and I was very ill from that, but I doubt if that was to do with it. But you never know.
Thank you, Jojo. Yeah.
No.
Okay. Let's have a look. Right. Have you felt any reflex reactions from within when seeing the greys depicted in drawings or on podcasts? Just like you got a bit of a reaction when you watch Close Encounters. Have you felt any reaction when you've looked at supposed alien depictions?
No, I haven't, because I'm not sure they're actually representing the right thing. So I haven't really clicked with that. No.
Brilliant. Yeah, that's great. Carol Pointer. Yes, I know Wilson Road, Deborah. I used to be an estate agent in your area. I lived nearby. Carol's trying to sell us an house now.
Oh.
I'm only joking. Right, Carol. Let's have a look. See what I hope. I was going to say I hope we've got some more questions, but I'm sure we will have. But let's have a look. Benjamin Hollingsworth. What's the lay of the land being scanned? Was it marsh or farm? Well, it was moorland, I think, Benjamin. Well,
does he mean over the factory or at the top of the crag?
Well, do both. I think we've done them, haven't we? But one was a dump, weren't it?
Yeah. The factory tip was derelict, and obviously a mess with tires and rubbish on there. So that was like dry and on fire. Deep fire, not blazing fire, underground glowy fire. And the top of the crags, did he say what type of terrain it was?
Yeah.
That was moorland, backdrop of trees, and then sheer big rocky crags.
A rock face, yeah, got it.
Rock face, yeah.
Let's have a look. Right, this is something you might not remember though, Andy, but what was the weather like, if you can remember?
Well, this was going in towards winter, so we were talking nippy. As I said, we're going dark early, so not raining or anything on these particular instances. We went up to the crags, or when I saw the hovering over the factory, just a crispy, cold, wintry evening. Yep.
Right. Okay. I'm just going down here. Well, we've done this one, Benjamin, but we're obviously you might not be from UK, but we're in South Yorkshire in the United Kingdom, aren't we? And
Yes.
am I right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, right,
So
yes.
you'll have to do a bit of Google Earth in there, Benjamin, if you're not in UK. But yeah, South Yorkshire. So it's Wharncliffe Crags, or very close to Wharncliffe Crags.
Yeah.
And is it Deep Car as well?
Deep Car. That's where I was located. It's as that lady said. It's very near. Very well. You can see it.
Yep. Do you know? I'm looking. We may have a few more questions, but if not, that hour's just flown, Deborah. Honestly, it just absolutely. And I know. Would you? You have a few more things to share. Would you come on a future Sunday and share a few more of these?
Yes, I'd love to.
Yeah. Let's just keep running down because I'll only get told off if. Oh, let's have a look. Let's have a look here. It's not a question. But Jimmy Norton, not seen you for years, mate, and we'll have to meet up again. Hi, Jem. Is your mum involved with your dad's carry on? I went through school with her. You did, mate. Yeah, and I hope you and Heather are doing okay, mate. It's good to see you here. And me and Jimmy, he knows a few stories about me, that fella. But all good, I hope. Let's have a look. Right, we've got Carol Pointer again. Paul. It would be nearer to where the lads camp. It would be nearer to where the lads camped in the woods and had their cryptid encounter, and that's interesting. And we'll obviously Carol. This is not the night to talk about that. But you make a great point because people might remember me. The man came on who told us about this him and his 3 mates camping in Wharncliffe Woods. And this creature, this animal, picked his mate up by the leg and held him upside down. That's pretty incredible. So anybody that just wants to connect the dots, this is Wharncliffe. So similar area, isn't it? You know? Yeah. Let's have a look. We'll just keep running down. And Lisa, can I ask you, Deborah, if they had any torches or lights connected to them? I think she's on about the people that you saw walking towards you.
Oh, the Victorians.
Yeah.
No. It was pretty light when we were up there. We wouldn't have gone up in the dark. As I said, I think one of the the youngest one was about 7 or 8, so we wouldn't have gone up in the dark. And I wasn't. And then they've got there's a 5-year gap between me and my friend. We wouldn't have gone up in the dark. No.
So Jane says, I think the Victorian incident was a time slip. Now, that's interesting because I'll let you just talk about that. But I got a load of questions for Deborah, which I hadn't needed. And it says time slip. There it is. Do you know? Yeah. Because I did think it myself. So, yeah, that's interesting in itself there. Right, let's have a look at that.
Oh, we don't know. It might be like a portal or something, you know.
Are you still okay? Because we might have just a few questions and then we'll sort of close this.
Yes.
I think they were alien visitors, and obviously you obviously got the clothing wrong. Great story, Deborah. Richard Mason says, thank you, Richard.
Can I just correct anybody that thinks I got the clothing wrong? Because the first
no, he thinks they got the clothing wrong.
Oh, right, sorry, yeah. No, I was going to say I knew my clothing because I used to be a fashion designer prior to being a garden person, so I was quite on point with me. But yes, I can understand what he means with the aliens having. But mind you, they might be in disguise. You don't shapeshifters have no idea.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you know? He didn't say they, but I think that's what he meant. Let's have a look here. Yeah. The children have been seen a few times. Carol says that the children that you're on about near Stocksbridge bypass.
Yes.
That's okay.
So, yes. Yeah.
And what we got, Jane says, loving Deborah's encounters. And let's have a look. We'll have there's more questions than I thought here.
Oh.
I heard those ghost children are thought to be those who used to work the mines in the Victorian times. Okay.
Right. Yes.
Let's have a look. Is there a stream on Thursday? All being well. I were hoping to speak with Reed Summers, and Reed's got something else come up, so I can't get to speak with him, and I'm really looking forward to it. I think you guys, interesting UFO subject, we'll absolutely love listening to what Reed Summers has got to share. So we will get to Reed Summers. I know we will in next week or so. Right, let's have a look. Do bear with me. Let's have a look. All right. Paul O'Connell says, I got the Astral Traveller book because we interviewed a guy, Deborah, who claims he astral travels. Really, really interesting guy, Gerard. And I'm glad that he managed to sell a few books. Anybody who's wanting any books, let me just say this before we close this down. The Truth Proof books are available on Amazon as Kindle downloads. If you want the books, the paperback books, truthproof.uk, or if you want the DVD, that will be sent out the very next day, truthproof.uk, what me and Les did, and it is available on Amazon Prime. And like I always say, I'm really kind of proud of Wolflands that me and Les put together. And that is it for questions, and it's just worked perfect, Deborah. So I would love to have you back on here and share a few more of your strange experiences that you've had in the years that followed the Wharncliffe encounter.
Yes, I think they'll probably be all connected, Paul. So it's very interesting. And as I said, if anybody can relate to them, you know, get in there with you and put it forward, I'd be very interested.
Yeah, and Amelia says, thanks for sharing, Deborah. And I put Amelia's name up, even though it's not in caps, because Amelia were kind enough to come on last week and share that strange ghost, if you want to call it ghost story, of this strange apparition that kept appearing. And Zeno says, no, he doesn't. Thanks for tonight, Deborah. Great account. And I think we'll close it on that point, Deborah, and thank you very much.
Okay, Paul, it's been a pleasure. Thank you. Hope to speak to you shortly.
You will do. And honestly, Deborah, you've held just about 300 people in chat. I've not had to do anything. So for everybody who shared this experience, Deborah's account with us tonight, thanks for support, guys. If you've not pressed like and subscribe, please consider doing it. You probably, again, your laptop, your phone, wherever, you could do it right now. We'd appreciate it. And I'm going to say good night. Good night, Deborah.
Good night. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Oh, wow.
Saw it twice, so I was like, oh my god.
That was just weird.
I always used to see a light coming up,
Yeah.
like a headlight, but there was nobody there.